Hi friends, it's Monday, September 13th. We slept in a little bit till, I don't know, 8 or 8:15. Got ready and now we are at Disney's Animal Kingdom, heading in from the parking lot to the front gates to start our first day here. So yay, another Disney day. From Disney's Animal Kingdom. We made it into the park and went straight on to the safari. It was a posted 10 or 15 minute wait, but it was like literally a walk on. The only time we had to stop was when folks were peeling off for stroller parking. I think there's always a little bit of confusion with that, but that was awesome. There were no rhinos out, which was kind of a bummer, but we did see cheetahs, we saw lions, we saw hippos, the giraffes. Two of the giraffes came super close. So that was kind of scarring, not scarring, but surprising, but really awesome. I don't think, well, I paid to feed a giraffe at a zoo once, but other than that, I've never seen a giraffe that close, and certainly not just like grazing on their food, so that was cool. After we finished up with the safari, we then headed to Rafiki's Plant Watch from the train. I don't think we've ever been there before, certainly not as adults. It is a little bit of a time suck, I will say, but the trains come about every 5 minutes, so that part's fast, and the train ride itself is only like 3 or 4 minutes, so that's not a big deal. And we just walked around the area. We weren't there at an opportune time for the animation experience, and I don't think Adam would want to do that anyway, but we watched them for a little bit and looked at the various wildlife pictures and the art on the walls and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. It was a very empty area. It was a nice place to escape to. And I definitely recommend it if you're gonna be here for a while. If you're only gonna be here for like one day, maybe it's not worth your time. But it was nice to go and experience that. Then we headed back on the train, so we got dropped back off in Africa. From there, we headed down to Pandora. We had put a mobile order in for lunch at Situli Canteen. Adam got the adult portion of the cheeseburger pods, and then I got a beef bowl with the rice and beans base and the creamy herby garlic sauce. The bowl's really good. We've had it before. Not that exact iteration, actually. I don't think either of us have had the rice, and it was really tasty. I was surprised. Adam liked his cheeseburger pods, but he said the bowl was probably better. And it doesn't seem like the pods are sitting very well on his stomach, so something to be aware of, I suppose. But the cheeseburger pods came with these vegetable chips that were really tasty, and I used them to eat parts of my bowl like I would with like tortilla chips and Chipotle, basically. And I thought that helped a lot in terms of like varying textures. There is some vegetable slaw with the bowls, but it doesn't provide like quite that level of crunch that like a chip does. So I really appreciated eating half of his side. From there, we did Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey. It hasn't been crazy low waits. It probably was this morning, but because we did it in the afternoon, is a little bit longer, but a little bit longer. We're talking like 30 minutes for Flight of Passage posted, and the time to the pre-show certainly was less than that. I think it was about 20 minutes. So that feels like a miracle because we've definitely been here when it's a 3-hour wait. We've had friends wait 2.5 hours and we opted out. We haven't been on Flight of Passage since 2017 because we couldn't snag a fast pass for it in 2019 and I wasn't gonna wait 2 hours. So it was really cool to experience that again. I do have mild motion sickness problems, and I will say that ride is not like perfectly smooth for me. I definitely felt a bit woozy coming off of it. There are parts where you're going down pretty fast, and those kind of get me. And there's several of them. There are a lot of parts interspersed throughout where you're just sort of stable, and I think that helps me get 45 seconds or whatever to recalibrate my brain before the next big down part. But yeah, so we popped a squat afterwards and had some water, just, you know, chilled. Navi River Journey is a really nice ride. I think it's very beautiful. The animatronic, the shaman, is ridiculous. Oh, and this was our first time through the standby line for Flight of Passage, so we finally got to see the I think it's an animatronic in the tube in the lab setting, and that was amazing. But the line was moving so fast that we barely even got to look at it because I didn't want to hold anybody up. But anyway, so that's where we're at so far. We've taken some PhotoPass pictures, and now we are off to do Dinosaur and Everest. And that might be it. We might try to call it a little bit early today, hit up a lounge or something before we have dinner tonight at Yachtsman Steakhouse. So far so good. The longest posted wait times are over in Pandora, and those, like I said, are around 30 minutes. I think I've seen them as high as 45, but that's really very low considering what those rides are and how popular they are. So I definitely think it's a light attendance day, and we are taking advantage of that. So last we checked in, I think we were in Animal Kingdom. We did end up doing Expedition Everest. It was a posted 20-minute wait for the standby line, but we wanted to ride together, and so we did the standby line, and it was not 20 minutes.
It was less than 10.
It was pretty much a walk-on. I mean, we paused a couple of times, but mostly that was because the party in front of us wanted to take pics and stuff, so I think it was pretty much a walk-on.
Right.
And we also did Dinosaur. That was literally a walk-on. And we took a bunch of PhotoPass pictures. That was really fun. And then we headed out of Animal Kingdom around, what, like 2 or 2:30 p.m.?
Right.
We were really sweaty. It got very hot. The sun was just pretty brutal, and there wasn't good cloud cover. There wasn't much of a breeze. So we headed out, and we had more or less done what we wanted to accomplish. So we took a break at the hotel. Adam had some work to do. We showered and changed. And then we were meeting up with a friend. So that friend came over around 4:15 to Bay Lake Tower. And we all went to Enchanted Rose Lounge together over the Grand Flo. That was the first time Adam and I had been. We had been to the prior Grand Flo Lounge, Meisner's, but not since it had been rethemed. And it was, I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah, it's pricey like most Grand Flo things, but the drinks, they get really creative, and they're well executed as well.
Yeah.
So
they were really well crafted. So it is a couple dollars more than most drinks at Disney World.
Yeah.
But it might be worth it, honestly, if you're like a cocktail snob, which we kind of are.
Yeah, and the views out the back of Grand Flo over the bay, it's great.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And we also got the truffle fries, which were expensive, but tasty. And, I'm a big believer on if you're drinking, you probably need to also be consuming a little food and drinking a bunch of water. So I'm happy with that choice.
Yeah, I agree.
And then our friend took us around a little tour of a bunch of, they're not really backstage areas, but if you go up World Drive, there's like the place where they store the monorails and the boats and the trains and like costuming and all those things. So he pointed out a lot of fun stuff to us, which was great.
Yeah, it's like the cast member version of TTC.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like where the Magic Kingdom employees park, all that stuff. And then we headed back over to the yacht club. And I don't think Adam and I actually walked through, at least not the lobby of Yacht Club when we were over there earlier this week. So we got to see that. And we all had a really great dinner at Yachtsman Steakhouse. So I got the filet. Adam had
the ribeye.
I also had the filet at Le Cellier, if you recall, so I can do a pretty easy one-on-one comparison. I think the filet itself, like the piece of meat, both were cooked perfectly. Texture was great. Flavoring I preferred over at Le Cellier just a little bit to Yachtsman, but Yachtsman was still phenomenal. The sides, though, like the accompaniments, I definitely preferred at Yachtsman to Le Cellier.
Yeah, I think that both are really great steakhouses. They're a little bit different, whereas Le Cellier is very much, themed with Canada.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
And, Yachtsman is very much American steakhouse. And it's a, very, Midwestern experience. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but, it's very Americanized, right? So I think if you've been to an American steakhouse before, Yachtsman's very similar to that. Le Cellier is a little bit different, little bit different twist. It's hard to pick favorite. I got the strip at Le Cellier and the ribeye at Yachtsman. The Yachtsman ribeye was very thick, very delicious. Whereas I think the one at Le Cellier was a little bit thinner from what I saw.
Yeah, I think so.
But overall, the sides of both places are great. I think the Yachtsman, I think, edged it a little bit for me, just from the sides and the service, the bread service, and
the bread at Yachtsman was really good.
Yeah, and you get a whole head of roasted garlic,
roasted to perfection.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah.
But overall, they're both very good, and you can't go wrong with either one if you're looking for a steakhouse.
It's probably easier for you to get a reservation at Yachtsman, and if you miss out on that, you can go to Cruise Cup, and at least for now, you can order off, I think, the full Yachtsman menu. So that's not really an option at Le Cellier. Like, if you can't snag that reservation, Yachtsman's probably a good option for you. For me, I would probably rather go to Le Cellier than Yachtsman, but both were really good, like really phenomenal. And obviously we had awesome company meeting up with our friends, so thanks so much to them. But yeah, it was a good night. We are both completely stuffed though.
I'm sick.
We're so full. The potatoes au gratin, which can come as a side with your entree, were so good, but they were so heavy, and I really think they put me over the edge. So we're gonna have an early night tonight, shower, rest up, and I think the plan is to rope drop Magic Kingdom tomorrow. So
yeah, it's a 9 a.m. start, so a little bit later than usual, but
thank God.
And thank God we're close as well. It's not a 45-minute trip.
We can just stroll right in from Bay Lake Tower.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
So yeah, be sure to hit that thumbs up button to like this video if you don't mind, and subscribe to the channel to make sure that you're getting our updates. You can ring that bell icon to receive notifications whenever we post new videos. We do still have several days left on vacation, so there are more vlogs coming, and we so much appreciate your support. We hope the rest of your day is magical, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.
Okay, bye.